Happy Sunday, everybody, and welcome to the Sunday Morning Betting Show, the first of 2022, powered by FTN. Chris Meaney, Matthew Freedman, and Eliot Crist here with you for the next 30 minutes or so, breaking down our favorite picks against the spread, our favorite totals and props here. Welcome in. We appreciate you. FTN TV for 15% off all sports, all picks over at ftnbets.com. Using that promo code $49.99 per month. We will be giving picks not only in week 18 for the first time ever, also throughout the playoffs as well. Freedman, happy 2022 to you and to everybody out there on behalf of FTN. How did you bring in the new year, sir?
It was good. Watched The Godfather. Just typical. Got to start the year off right. Eliot shaking his face. First of all, you live in New Jersey. All right. The Godfather should be a birthright to you. All right. And it was actually New Year's Eve is my wedding anniversary. So it was 11, nice. Marking 11 years together. So that's good. And, it's everything is going good except for the weather. I got to say, it's like 0 degrees outside. Literally, it's 0 degrees outside. I'm freezing right now in my basement. I just want to get through this remainder of the rest of the season and start to get into spring.
Yeah, it's a little chilly. And Eliot is in theme here today. You mentioned Jersey. He's rocking a New Jersey hoodie, Devils hoodie. And I mean, I'm not trying to take shots at you, but did you make it to midnight the other day?
See, this is like a common misconception with Eliot, right? Like NFL season, Eliot stays up late. Off-season Eliot goes to bed at 10 p.m. because he starts working at like 5 a.m. But I can't do that during the season. So I've been up every time someone's sending me a message at 6 p.m. I'm wide awake. Matt, I'm aware that The Godfather is an all-time classic. It's just that you should only watch movies made this century. I saw the picture of you and your wife. You guys looked fantastic on New Year's. I watched a movie with my cousins from California, and I did take a nap between 10 and 11. And then we were just flipping through channels, watched Pete Davidson tell horrible jokes to bring in the new year, and then switched to CNN, where they didn't realize that people's Twitter handles were fake and were putting up tweets from like Ben Dover and a lot of other people, and some guy who's famous was very drunk on CNN. So all in all, a great New Year's. And excited to be here. Excited for a football Sunday. Got a ticket in the Best Ball Mania on Underdog. Got a shot to win $1 million, so rooting for that. And had to bring out the Jersey Devils because you're the hockey goat and had to shout you out on the show.
Love it, man. I appreciate it. I did not expect you to be rocking that New Jersey Devils hoodie. I'll say that. And yeah, you kind of shots fired at me. You're always working hard, man. I wake up in the morning and you've created some amazing looking tool over at FTN, or like the mobile app is like 10 times better than what it was the night before because you're putting in all the hard work and grinding. So we, of course, appreciate you. Freedman, we'll let you kick things off first. Happy belated anniversary. Let's start here with the spread. What do you got? What's your favorite on the board for week 17?
Well, it's typical, going with the Texans at plus 12.5, going against the 49ers. Anytime I have the chance to bet against Kyle Shanahan, especially when he's at home and favored, I'm pretty much going to do this. I bet this at 15.5 on Sunday night, #HowSharp. That was before news broke about quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo with the thumb injury, but I still like this number at 12.5, given that 21-year-old rookie backup is Trey Lance. He's played so little football over the past 2 years, and Garoppolo has actually been sneakily underappreciated. He's not doing a lot within the offense, but what he's asked to do, he's doing it acceptably well. He's number 3 behind only Aaron Rodgers and Joe Burrow in composite expected completion percentage over expectation and expected points added. The drop off from Garoppolo to Lance, I think, is actually pretty significant. And then, of course, going against Kyle Shanahan at home, he's 13-22-1 against the spread. As a favorite, he's 15-24-1 against the spread. And I mean, this is the Mona Lisa of trends. As a home favorite, he's an abominable 5-15-1 against the spread. Just absolutely horrible. I think if you're looking at a comparison between these two quarterbacks, even though the 49ers traded up for Lance, even though he probably is going to have the better career, right now, Davis Mills has actually been, I'd say, the number 2, like the second best rookie quarterback this year out of all of the guys that we've seen. I think if you're comparing Mills versus Lance, anything more than 10 points just feels like too much, especially given Kyle Shanahan and his propensity to underperform as a home favorite. So 12.5 with the Texans. It's a disgusting bet, probably made all the more disgusting by the fact that all three of us I know are on that side. That feels like the kiss of death right there. But I'm betting it Texans 12.5.
Yeah, Elliot, no surprise. Freedman beat us into the Slack group with his picks, and it's like I saw you say, "Oh, I wanted to pick the Texans," and I was like typing Texans too before even looking to see what Freedman was feeling. And a couple weeks ago, I think we talked about Davis Mills when we were comparing him a little bit to Trevor Lawrence, just like we were all laughing on the show about the Jags being favored in that game. And we said, listen, Mills has been okay. He's been a decent quarterback. He's certainly been capable recently. So, Elliot, you couldn't roll with the Texans. Who you rolling with today?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like Freedman deserves the Texans picks too, because he gets to say Kyle Shanahan as a home favorite doesn't cover, and that is the tagline by Matthew Freedman. That, or I'm betting on against the Cowboys today, so the Cowboys will cover. One of those two things are the Freedman taglines. But I'm going to go with the Dolphins plus 3.5. I think it's 3 a lot of places right now, and this is a team that's completely turned the corner. They've covered 6 of their last 7 games on their 7-game win streak. Brian Flores is one of the best coaches as an underdog in football. 20, 12, and 1 against the spread as an underdog. The Titans have been struggling, right? 2 and 4 against the spread the last 6 games. Yes, A.J. Brown came back. Yes, he absolutely torched the 49ers. No, the Titans didn't break 20 points yet again. Like, this team without Derrick Henry, running backs don't matter unless you're certain running backs, right? Like, they aren't this uber efficient offense that they were to start the season and the back half of last season. And I just think that anytime a team struggles to break 20 and you give the other team a field goal and a half and the hook, that to me, that just seems like very good value for a Dolphin team that's playing good football, right? Like, this was never a 1-7 team either. Like, this was, they were, what did they go, 11-5 last year, and was to just miss the playoffs. But they play good defense. They get pressure. They turn the quarterback over. I just think that this Dolphins team it should be closer to a pick 'em. And again, anytime you give me over a field goal for a team that struggles against a team that struggles to break 20, I'm gonna take them.
Yeah, I've been super impressed with Miami. I mean, they're setting an NFL. I think they set an NFL record last year, the first team ever to, or last week, the first team ever to have a 7-game losing streak and a 7-game winning streak in the same season. And if they make the playoffs, they'll be the first team ever to make the postseason starting 1-7 through the first 8 weeks of the season. They've really turned it around. Elliot, to your point, I wrote up Ryan Tannehill as a sit. Obviously, this is championship week. You in a super flex, you probably roll him out. But from a fantasy standpoint, I was looking. He hasn't topped 16 fantasy points since week 10. He's only scored more than 18 in 3 games this season. He's been held to 1 or 0 passing touchdowns in 13 of his 15 games, and he hasn't thrown more than 1 in a game since week 8. And this Dolphins team, I mean, yeah, they made Ian Book look like a child, I guess, playing his first football game ever last week, but they lead the NFL in sacks. They got like 15 over their last couple games too. So I agree with that pick. I like them quite a bit. This Miami team is rolling, and this Baltimore team, as we transition into my pick, the Ravens are not rolling. The Rams at 5.5, now 6.5. I'm seeing in most spots. I still like them by a touchdown here today. They opened up at 3.5, and this is something that we loved on Mean Streets. Just 2 teams heading in the wrong direction, right? It does sound like Huntley is going to start for the Ravens, and he's been fine. Tyler Huntley has been, from a fantasy standpoint, he's been great. I think he's a top 12 quarterback this week. You can roll him out. He doesn't have the same rushing upside as Lamar Jackson, but he's got a bit of a floor there. But this Baltimore defense, they can't stop anybody. They've had so many injuries. It started at the start of the season with Dobbins, and then Gus Edwards goes down, Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey is down. I know they're getting a couple healthy bodies back, that have missed some time due to COVID, but this is still a team that ranks 30th in pass DVOA. LA is in the top 10 in pass defense, inside the top 10 in pass offense. The Rams, I think they're starting to hit their stride, guys. I won't speak for you guys. I was really feeling them earlier in the season. Then they went through a bit of a lull. Matthew Stafford had 3 straight games where he threw a pick 6, but now he's starting to pick it up on offense. The Ravens have allowed 72 points in their last 2 games, 4 straight losses. I know they've hung around with a couple teams. It's been a good feeling. Harbaugh's got this team together. He wants coaching of the year votes. He may get them. They're going for 2 at the end of the game to try to win it. They're unsuccessful. I just think Stafford and this offense, like, who's going to stop Cooper Kupp? Who's going to stop him? Like, they play man-to-man, and I was looking at some of their numbers. They've allowed a league-high 23 passing touchdowns in man-to-man. Stafford is 22 touchdowns and 3 picks in man-to-man. I just don't know, Elliot, who's going to stop Cooper Kupp today. I think this Rams team scores 30. I don't know, man. I don't know if the Ravens get to 24. So I think they win by a touchdown here.
I'll say 2 things. One is that my Best Ball Mania team quarterback is Matthew Stafford. The star receiver is Cooper Kupp. And then I also have Mark Andrews as my tight end. So I really hope everything you just said comes to fruition. I do have one concern, and I want to throw it out to you guys because I think it's really interesting. When the Ravens played the Packers, they put 3 guys on Devontae Adams. Cooper Kupp's receiving prop is 109, which is, I don't even, absurd's not even the right word for it. Do we think that they try to do the same thing with Kupp? Is the argument going to be, well, you know, Odell Beckham and Van Jefferson are a lot better than Allen Lazard and MVS, so they're not going to be able to do that as much. Kupp plays in the slot more, so it's hard to do that. You know, there's a lot of different arguments, but I did read Alex Blickel's advanced matchups, and he talked about Odell Beckham this week because the weighted opportunity of number 2 receivers against the Ravens has skyrocketed the last 3 weeks since they've really done that. We just saw T. Higgins lead the day in receiving yards, right, as the number 2. Granted, they didn't really double either guy. They kind of made fun of the Bengals going into that game that they didn't need to double either guy, and then they gave up 525 passing yards. So, whoops. But I'm curious. Do you think they try to? I mean, Cooper Kupp has had more double teams against him this year than any other player in football. So it's not like he's just going to be eliminated regardless. But do you think they even try to, you know, stack 3 guys over him, or are they just going to, you know, do what most teams do against the Rams?
I'll throw you here, Freeman. I think they do. I think they try to. I love the call by Blickel. I think OBJ and Van Jefferson are in prime spots. I mean, Van Jefferson, the deep target in this offense too. I think they try to, but you know, like you said, Elliot, teams have tried all year, but Cooper Kupp is just a phenomenal route runner, and just him and Sean McVay, they just connect so amazingly. Just listen to them both speak about like some of the play calling that is run in their games and the route running that he has and the terrific hands that he has too. I think they try to, but it's a dangerous game to your point, right? I mean, all the Ravens did was cry after that game last week about how the Bengals just wouldn't stop scoring. Like, and I think when you see this matchup, Freeman able to exploit this defense, maybe they don't have to maybe Stafford doesn't have to throw to Kupp 10 times, but I still think he's going to get his. But those other 2 guys in this offense are in terrific spots.
Yeah, apologies to both of you guys because I am on your bets as well. So just go ahead and mark those up as losses. And Meaney, I'm with you. I think regardless of whatever it is that the Ravens try to do, whatever it is they've been trying to do all season has never worked. Even when they've changed strategies, mixed things up, it's never worked because they don't have the personnel to do anything effectively.
Exactly.
And then if Matthew Stafford, yeah, I think you don't need to throw to Cooper Kupp 10 times a game, but you're going to because somehow he will still always be open, even if he's, you know, double covered, triple covered. And if the Ravens absolutely dedicate the defense to stopping Cooper Kupp, I think that will be a Pyrrhic victory where you have the guys on the perimeter open. And, you know, Van Jefferson, as much fun as, you know, the analytics community made of that pick a couple of years ago, he has had a pretty decent season.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's able to make plays down the field. And Odell Beckham, you know, we know his playmaking ability. So I think it is a big Matthew Stafford game, regardless of whatever it is the Ravens try to do on defense.
109 receiving yards is crazy, though, Elliot. It's crazy. I think he goes.
But 226, right? That's what he needs for the all-time record, and 19 receptions, and he's only had 1 game with 10 less targets. Like, everyone on the team's talking about it. Everyone wants to get him. That's one of those narrative streets where I do think they try to play to that.
Totally.
I do think Kupp still has a great game, and I'm basically like, unless the slot corner brings out a shotgun, he's not going to be able to stop Cooper Kupp. And the last point I would make on Van Jefferson is I always feel like I'm missing one of his names. Like, I feel like it should be something Van Jefferson, and it drives me nuts. But that is not relevant or impactful on betting. I just need to say it out loud.
I love Van Jefferson too, by the way, Freedman. I remember the negative remarks surrounding him, I guess, with that draft pick, but he's had some drops, but him and Stafford seem to be on the same page. There seems to be at least one deep ball every game with Van Jefferson. I think we'll see that probably early on in this game. All right, let's switch to totals. We'll throw to you, Freeman. What do you got?
Well, the last time we did a show together, I bet against the 49ers and I took the Jags under. So I'm staying right on brand for this show. I first bet this number, Jags Patriots under 41.5. I bet this at 43 on Sunday night. I still like it at 41.5. I would take it to the key number of 41. So if we get something like 27-14, 28-13, we at least still get the push. The Jags have a 4-11 over-under record. They massively skew to the under, and it's because they're just so incompetent, regardless of whether it's the offense or the defense out there. Since the Week 7 bye, they've scored more than 20 points just once. On offense, they're number 32 in the league in points per drive. On defense, they're number 32 in turnover rate. So when they have the ball, they can't score. And when they don't have the ball, the defense can't make a game-changing play to put their offense in a good position. And I think the story of the season for the Jags can be told by looking at their pace. On offense, they're number 1 in the league with 24.7 seconds per play. That information is provided by FTN data. You can find it in our NFL pace and run pass report. I mean, the fact that they are number 1 in offensive pace is the dumbest thing ever. If you're bad on offense, you should try to play slowly, decrease the number of drives that you and your opponent have so that fewer overall points are scored, so that variance increases and you give yourself a better chance of winning. Instead, the Jags play faster than anyone, but since they're so incompetent, they just give the ball up quickly. The problem is that on defense, the Jags are number 32 in pace with 29.5 seconds per snap. And that makes sense. Opponents have zero motivation to play quickly against them because the Jags can't score on offense, and on defense, they can't get a stop. It's as if when the game starts, immediately opponents are already in clock killing mode against the Jags. And the Patriots are the perfect opponent for the under this week. They're tough on defense, especially against the pass. I don't see how the Jags are going to be able to move the ball. And the Patriots on offense, they've got a good offensive line. They're going to push the Jags all around. They're number 6 in run rate, so they run frequently and they run effectively. They're number 8 in rush EPA per play and rush success rate. With Damian Harris, with Ramondre Stevenson, I think they could run the ball on more than 60% of their offensive snaps. I could even see this number getting up to 65% of the offensive snaps if they get out to a big lead. I think that will drive the game to the under. So even at 41.5, if it still moves down to 41, I would still be betting this number.
We may just get another game where Mac Jones throws the ball 3 times in this one. There may just be a run heavy game. Eliot, are we worried about Trevor Lawrence? Is this just, some of the statistics that Freeman just gave are absolutely alarming. I know that we've made a lot of jokes and cracks at Urban Meyer this season, and now he's officially gone. And they're interviewing some coaches. Doug Peterson is reportedly one of the first ones there. I don't know if there's a lot of issues with this Jacksonville team, but do we have major concerns with Trevor Lawrence? Is just 1 year chalk it up as just dude really does look like an inexperienced rookie?
Yeah, he absolutely does look like an inexperienced rookie. I saw a stat that if you take his last 8 games and projected out over 16, he would throw 2 touchdown passes. This team has been abysmal. They spiked the ball on 3rd and 1 with 14 seconds to go from the 1-yard line. I think that I'm not worried about Trevor Lawrence depending on which coach they bring in next year. I think he was the first overall pick and the best prospect in 15 years because he had every single tool on earth. And I think we forget, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, they spoiled us. Most of the time, rookie quarterbacks stink, right? I think we thought it would be more fun and he would use his legs more and he would throw a lot more touchdown passes than he has. Absolutely. Is this a disappointment? Absolutely. Are there cause reasons for concern? Again, I'm going to use the word absolutely. But I'm not Trevor Lawrence is a bust and there's no way he's ever going to be good. If I'm the Jets, I would trade Zach Wilson for Trevor Lawrence 100 out of 100 times still right now.
Fair. Yeah. And I agree. It is really tough to watch Trevor Lawrence and the Jags play. But again, the personnel scrambling for his life all the time. And to Freeman's point, right, this is just the perfect matchup for the Pats. I love that pick. All right. Sticking with totals, Eliot, we'll throw to you.
Yeah. I mean, we just mentioned the Jaguars, right? They scored 21 points on the Jets last week. And 21 is not a lot, but for the Jaguars, it sure is. The 7 of the last 10 Jets opponents have scored 30 plus. The Bucs team total sits at 29.5. The 3 teams that didn't were the Jaguars, Texans, and Dolphins. That's not the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? Who will have Mike Evans in a limited capacity. They will have Antonio Brown in this one. The Jets are one of the worst teams against the run in all of football this year. More on that in a little bit. But also, like, the Jets can't cover deep. I think they allow their 27th deep ball completion percentage against. And whenever you want a team to score a lot of points, those quick plays are a great way to get them. But also, using our NFL offensive efficiency tool, Alex Bickel does a great job projecting out pace, but not just pace, but game script pace. And the Bucs in a positive game script have the fastest pace in all of football. Like, this is a team that they don't take their foot off the gas. They continue to score. They've got running backs in Ronald Jones, who, while he couldn't catch a cold, right? There's another joke to be made there, but in this environment, I'm not going there. Ronald Jones, he is a big time runner, right? Like last year, he hasn't really done it this year, but last year he's shown those big runs, those gash runs, and the Jets get killed on the ground. So I don't really see how the Bucs don't drop 30 plus. And Tom Brady, we all know that the Bucs are going to win this game, but this is a fun fact. There's not been a quarterback that has played for the Jets that Tom Brady has not beaten. And obviously, this is going to be his one and only game against Zach Wilson. I shouldn't say that because Tom Brady may play till he's like 108 years old. Yes. But I think that streak continues today with Zach Wilson as well.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that. It's hard to argue the Bucs not scoring points here today. For me, I'm hoping that Pittsburgh and Cleveland don't score any points. I'm taking the under 41. This Steelers team, I've been super hard on them in Big Ben. Listen to this, guys. They haven't scored a first quarter touchdown since week 10 against Detroit. Mason Rudolph was the quarterback in that game. They have 6 first quarter points over their last 6 games, 0 first quarter points over their last 4 games. They are averaging 6.7 points in the first half of NFL games this season. That is 31st. Only Tino's Giants have scored fewer first half points per game than the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are 22nd in the NFL in points per game overall, 20.1. Cleveland, not great themselves either. 19th overall, 20.9 points. These two teams played in week 8. It was a 15-10 game, outside divisional game. These two teams are very familiar with each other. There's going to be no surprises with either of these squads here today. You guys have both talked about the pace tools over at FTNDaily.com. Cleveland, 7th in rush percentage, 46%. Played to the 6th slowest pace and the 6th most plays run. They have long drives. They got Chubb back here today. The offensive line is great, right? We know this. Eliot particularly knows this. This is what they do. They just kill clock, right? We're talking about teams against Jacksonville killing the clock. This is exactly what the Browns do as well with long drives. And you've been able to run on the Steelers lately as well. So I look overall at this Pittsburgh team offensively, 6.4 passing yards per attempt. 28th in the NFL, 3.8 rushing yards per attempt, 28th in the NFL. I just don't think this team is really all that good offensively. You're hearing some reports about Big Ben, secretly told his team again that this is going to be his last home game. Absolutely, it's going to be his last home game. He doesn't have anything left to offer offensively. They don't have a quick strike offense where they can just score points at will. So I think that this is going to be another very similar to week 8. Both teams maybe living in the mid-teens. And I think Cleveland probably wins this game, and they keep their playoff hopes alive, especially if the Bengals lose here today. And then next week will be for the division. So I think that we're going to see very little offense in that game. Guys, we only have a few minutes left, so let's kind of rapid fire through some props. We'll throw to you, Freeman. What do you got for a prop?
Looking at Jalen Waddle over 69.5 yards receiving. This is the consensus line across the industry. In his 8 full games with quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, Waddle has 627 yards receiving on 79 targets, 61 receptions. The Titans are number 1 in most yards per game allowed to slot receivers. That information is from our advanced DVP tool. And in his past 4 games with Tua, Waddle has 9, 10, 11, and 12 targets. His ADOT isn't great, but it's good enough given his target volume and his yards after the catch playmaking ability. I think this line should be 7 to 10 yards higher.
Yeah, Waddle's an absolute beast, man. He's been so impressive. Chris, we'll throw to you. What do you got for a prop?
Yeah, I would say that I love the Waddle call. I think he's 6 receptions away from the all-time rookie receiving record too. And my guess is that they try to get that for him. I'm going to stick with Tampa Bay and go Ronald Jones over 69.5 rushing yards. This is up to 70 on FanDuel, 73 a lot of other places. The Jets they're 26 in gas rate. We have the Bucs for the highest projected line yards per carry in the NFL this week. Jones only played 52% of the snaps, but he had 20 carries, 20 to 29 carries. He just doesn't run routes. And as 13-point or 14-point favorites now, going up against a Jets team that's giving up 118 yards per game to running backs, that 3 of the last 4 have given up over 130 to running backs. The one who didn't was Dare Ogunbowale. And I know I butchered that, and I know I don't care.
Oh, isn't like that actually?
That's the only guy that they've really been able to go under this number. So I don't know. If he doesn't get hurt, I would be floored if Ronald Jones doesn't end up in like the 90 or 95 yard range today.
Yeah, I like the fact that he just had 20 carries, right? Like he jumped into that offense, and even with other guys touching balls into the backfield, he still ended up with 20 attempts on the ground. You give him 20 attempts on the ground against the Jets, he's certainly going to get to that number. DEEBO Samuel for me, 44.5 receiving yards. It's up to 46 now. His rushing prop is at 24.5. I think he probably clears both here today. Last week, I thought it was just a gift from books. His receiving yard prop was 42.5, and his rushing and combined receiving yard prop was at 82.5. He had 159 receiving yards and 32 on the ground. So he doubled that prop, that combined prop. This guy is top 44.5 in 11 of his 14 games. There was a 3-game stretch where he didn't. He had like 1 catch in each of his 3 games. He was dealing with a groin injury. He was still used in the offense. He was still obviously the main running back in that offense over those 3 weeks. But this is somebody overall who has cleared this number pretty consistently. He comes into this game averaging 89.1 receiving yards per game. 2 games of Trey Lance, 9 targets, only 3 catches, but he had 58 receiving yards. Week 5, he had 13 targets, 8 grabs, and 156 receiving yards. Now, Jimmy started that game and Lance finished it, but he's also a yak monster, man. Like 692 yards after the catch is second to Cooper Kupp, 1 game behind him. So again, this is somebody who's clearing this consistently. I know that Trey Lance is inconsistent, and this guy loves to throw the football extremely hard. I feel like he's just in there just to whip balls at guys, but DEEBO Samuel is going to be part of this game plan, right? Whether it's a bubble screen, it's just 1 catch. All he needs is 1 catch to get to this 45, 46.5 now. So I think he's still going to be a big part of this offense against the Texans. I'm taking the over there. And, Freeman, I think he probably gets 25 rushing yards again. I know you've been high on his rushing yard props. I think earlier in the season, remember, it was like 3.5, 6.5, and now it's like 24.5. But I still feel like he could get there.
Yeah, that and the Robert Woods rushing props, those were wonderful.
Yes, they were. Eliot, on the way out, what do you got for us? What do you got? You got a same gay, or you want to tee up the jock market?
Yeah, well, I'm going to hop over to my Twitter. I'm going to be breaking down the slate from a jock market perspective, talk about, it's really betting, DFS, whatever you want, and kind of running player by player and my thoughts on them for the slate. But let's get out of here with the same game parlay. I like the Chiefs a lot today. I think the Bengals numbers are a little inflated coming off that Ravens game. The Chiefs have been really good of late against quarterbacks, especially their last 5 quarterbacks against them. And that includes, for the record, like Dak Prescott. I'm not just going to pick on Big Ben. 226 yards per game and 5.6 yards per pass attempt. So I think that the Chiefs are going to have a lot of success in the air against the Bengals, who are a bit of a pass funnel, which is against the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, who remembered how to play football. I just feel like Mahomes right now is Happy Gilmore, who remembered how to putt, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to take Mahomes over 288. I'm going to take Tyreek Hill over 74 and a touchdown. Chiefs money line. And then on the other side, I'm going to say Burrow under 281. Joe Mixon over 71 rushing yards, and Joe Mixon to score a touchdown. That pays out at 34-1.
Whew, nice. And, Hill's props are the lowest I've seen in quite some time. I think last week was just, he's coming off the COVID list, and they just blew away the Steelers, and it was the Pringle show. Like, he really didn't touch the field. 5.5 grabs for Tyreek Hill is something I like as well. And that
only
line
42% of the snaps, too, right? Like, I think
right. Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that it's not coming back from an injury, right? COVID impacts your lungs. I'm not trying to get into like the COVID facts, but one of the things that I have noticed is that a lot of players' first games off the COVID list are not great.
Right.
They've been
absolutely.
sluggish. It's a theme, and so then the offense then funneled to Pringle really Pringle. But I think that you're going to see Kelsey. This is his first game off the COVID list, and I think you'll see Hill right back into his normal role and have a big game today.
I think it's been interesting that line has moved to Kansas City 3.5, like just over the last day and a half or so. It was at 5.5 for quite some time, and now it's moved to 3.5. I do think that the Chiefs get this done. Guys, always a pleasure. Good luck this week. Take down all the bets. You guys have any questions, leave them there in the YouTube section. Smash that like button. Want to hear from you as well. Your best bet, your favorite prop, maybe your favorite total or your favorite spread as well from Matthew Freedman, Eliot Crist. Make sure you check out Eliot in the next half hour and check out NFL DFS Live powered by FTN Daily with Kyle Murray and DEEBO. They will get you set for week 17 in the NFL, a massive slate. We'll be back next week. Have a good one, guys. Cheers.